Okay, so this week our podcast is just slightly different than normal. Weight loss injections for children. We are going to go through and debate how we feel about this. We're going to give you the facts. We're going to go through our own opinions. We're going to play devil's advocate. But this podcast episode is dedicated to our future, our children, and how we feel we should be helping them and not necessarily injecting them. Welcome to our podcast, Fuck the Diet Cycle, with myself, Lauren Knight, and Abby Lodge. This is for you if you want to cut through the diet industry bullshit and finally end that cycle. Grab yourself a cuppa, get comfy, and let's dive straight in, shall we?
Yes, absolutely. So some of you may have seen the news, heard the news, whatever, about the absolute pandemonium that has been released, that there is a weight loss injection that can be used, is suitable to be used in children as young as 6. 6 years old, people. 6 on its own, singular. 6 years old, injecting your child to help with obesity. Now, I understand that we are in a... Why are you shaking your head?
I was agreeing with you.
It's like, what have I said?
I was just agreeing.
Okay, well, before I was rudely distracted, 1 in 5 children aged 10 to 11 are obese. So there is no two ways about it. We are in a obesity pandemic, crisis, whatever you want to call it. Now, the basis behind this study is basically that overweight children then go on to overuse the health services due to obesity related problems. But where I lie is, okay, that's fine. One, these weight loss injections have just sprung up within the past year. I feel like 2024 has been the year of people are going out of their way to get these injections to suppress their appetite, to try and lose weight. Everyone and their nan is injecting themselves. They haven't been around long enough to actually understand the longevity of them and how they are going to affect you later on in life, especially being children. Yes, they are 6, but fertility, all things like that, is that going to be an issue later on? Are they then going to have other problems later on in life which are then going to cause them to have to use the health services for this related problem? I think it is absolutely madness. And what makes me more angry than anything, a lot makes me angry about this, but this something it makes me very, very angry. So there are parents and children out there who are very poorly, who are very sick, whatever, and they have to inject their children daily, weekly, whatever, to help them live. If you think about a type 1 diabetic, things like that, they have to do that. They have to put their children through hell to look after them. And then it's just sprung up that we can go around willy-nilly jabbing these children to help them lose weight. No, it lies with us. It lies with us as parents in society to educate these children about balanced lifestyles, exercise, food, and I just think it's absolute chaos.
I think we hit the nail on the head earlier when we were discussing this and saying, like, we need to get a podcast out there. We need to educate people. We need to stand together and show society that this is not okay. And how we summed it up was, it's a quick fix. This is pure laziness on whether it's the NHS that go with it, whether it's the government. We know that it's actually happening in the US. They've done their study and we'll share those facts with you in a moment. But this is just cutting corners. And we know what happens when you cut corners. You are teaching these children from a young age. I can't even fathom the fact that this is from 6 years old. And yes, I stand and I understand that we have an obesity crisis. I get it. But we have an obesity crisis because marketing people are not taking ownership and they're not being held accountable. We have parents that aren't educated, rightly or wrongly, it doesn't matter. They don't have the right education because they have been stuck in the diet mentality world of sins, points, good food, bad food, treats, don't leave your table, blah, 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 blah. They don't understand right from wrong. And they may be passing on some pretty negative habits onto their children, not on purpose, I would like to say, but it's due to lack of education. The education system in itself, and I'm talking about schooling, they do not talk about health.
No.
At all. Like literally, they are not teaching mental health, physical health. Yeah, they tell the kids that they have to do PE, but when kids are getting to secondary school, and I know this because my daughter's just started secondary school, and I also did it, children are bunking PE as one of their biggest lessons because they don't understand the benefits of PE. But if they was actually taught about the impact not only on their physical health but their mental health too, then they might think about the reasons why we do PE. I didn't know it. I just didn't enjoy it. But if they'd made it more fun, if they explained to me why we were doing PE, then maybe more people would show up instead of bunking. So my point here is, instead of putting all this money into these injections, because let's face it, it's not cheap.
No.
Why don't we put it into the education system? Why don't we speak to those influencers out there that all these kids are looking up to and actually get them to teach them? I'm pretty sure that our Olympics team would love to be able to educate children. I'm pretty sure that any athlete, football players get paid far enough to be able to do a few videos that can start being circulated within the education system. So let's get them on board and start teaching children from as young as 6 what healthy eating looks like. And the fact that they are allowed to have a chocolate bar, but we ain't going to go and eat it, or 10 of them, just for the sake of it. Or if you're having your dinner and you start understanding what that full up feeding looks like, being able to voice to your parents and say, actually, I'm full up now. And that doesn't necessarily mean that in an hour's time, if you're starting to feel hungry again, that you go and get a bag of crisps. Let's educate the kids. Let's not just inject them.
I could not agree more. Injecting children, it's sick. But more kind of about this study. So in my eyes, this study is the biggest pile of shit ever. And there are so many flaws in it and holes and whatever. I don't think
And it's
a fair
unfair.
trial.
It's an unfair trial.
It's not a fair trial. So basically, what this trial is was whatever 56 children over a 56-week period of at the ages 6 to 12 were injected weekly with this injection, and most of them basically reduced their BMI by 7.4%. Okay, fantastic. This drug, they want it to reduce children's BMI, they want them to lose weight. However, after said trial, they then revisited these children 6 months later, finishing this medication, losing weight, and more than half of them, their BMI had increased and they had gained weight. So how is that a fix? How is that solving anything apart from for a year you're going to inject yourself, you're going to lose weight, and you're going to be on the good BMI, which BMI really is a load of rubbish anyway. And then 6 months later, you're going to regain your weight and have more health-related issues, and you've been subject to, I think, is like it's abuse. I personally think it's a form of abuse, injecting your child. And also, each child who took part in this study, this is where it gets really good. This is where it gets really good. Had to endure 60 minutes per day of moderate to high intensity activity. Okay, so we know when we increase our activity levels, what happens? Naturally, we lose weight. Because, so how is that fair? How are they? It's not could it be that the actual getting these kids active and, out and about and raising their heart rates and things like that, could that be that that's what caused the weight loss or the injection?
And this is where there is a major flaw. If they wanted to have a fair study that gave true results, every one of those, did you say 52 children?
56.
56 children. Every single one of them, 1 should have been the same age, in my opinion. 2 should have been on exactly the same diet plan in terms of what they start eating. And 3, there should have been no physical exercise included, because now it's a case of, right, okay, well, they're all different ages, so therefore they're doing different things at school, their hormone levels are different. Like, so a 6-year-old girl compared to a 12-year-old girl, we're talking about menstrual cycle potentially, we're talking about hormone increase. The same with boys. There is a difference in muscle mass between a 12-year-old boy and a 6-year-old boy. All of that is different, and yet they're going to try and stand on their high horse and tell me that, oh, okay, it's all right, let's inject your children for a year. We're not going to teach them a thing about healthy eating or about how they can manage this afterwards. They can go back to eating how they were before, because, you know, the injections are the holy grail.
Cured.
And that's it. They're cured. No, they haven't learned a thing other than we are now in that binge restrict cycle. They are being taught that when you inject, your appetite reduces, so therefore you eat less, which then leads you to losing weight. In your mind, straight away, as a child, we need to restrict ourselves.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, oh, we're off the injection, our appetite is back, we don't know how to control this situation. I'm always hungry, therefore I eat because that's all I know. Oh, I've gained weight. That means when I eat food, that's bad because I gain weight. Oh my God, we've just introduced a 6-year-old into the diet cycle.
Yeah, and that is absolutely disgusting to even, like, obviously, Lenny is 7. He's recently turned 7. Me, as a weight loss consultant, Olivia is 4. They are very impressionable at this age. You know, I have many conversations about what I do, about helping people, but we always talk about it in such a healthy way that he doesn't understand about, like, oh, you should lose weight or anything like that. Like, he eats a very good diet, and if he wants
And
to
he
have
exercises.
and he exercises, you know, he does his martial arts all the time. But we have that healthy relationship and that healthy open conversation about it to educate him. And now he says, like, if he's finished, like, he's full up with his dinner, I'm full up, but I'll put it on the side, and if I'm hungry later, I'll have some. Yeah, too right you will, because I know you'll go down that bloody cupboard and you're gonna want,
Which is what children do.
this is what children do. But 6 years old, it breaks my heart to even think that there are parents out there that have been so desperate to put their children through this trial that, you know, they see no other way out in helping their children than to inject them. Like, that is not okay. It is not okay on any level to even think about it. Like, and if we take this then back to adults, like, especially this year on, like, social media and stuff, everyone and their nan is literally injecting themselves. The side effects inflicted on adults from these drugs is pretty raw. Like, I watch some people on, like, TikTok, and they're, like, really poorly, sick, diarrhea. You're then gonna put that onto your child?
Yep.
Why would you know, willingly know that? And in this study, actually, where is it? Because I thought it was. So out of the 56 children, 7 experienced severe side effects, hospitalization side effects, and 6 had to leave the trial because of the side effects. Like that.
That is a no. It's a hard no.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. This shouldn't even have made it into the news. This shouldn't even be being debated, because there are other ways to help these children. And I understand, and you know, there are different backgrounds, financial circumstances, no access to potentially clubs and stuff. And this is where I truly believe that influencers or sportsmen or women can help. They can help by putting on clubs that are accessible for everybody. And I know they're out there because James, when we were younger, he used to run like a summer scheme, and it was through the council, and it was for children that were from an underprivileged background, and it was free for them. And he did like his coaching qualifications, and every single day throughout the summer holiday he would have a group of these children, and he would literally, it would just be a sports club, and it was fantastic. The numbers were brilliant. He loved it. He was young, so it was getting like the younger people to come in and be like peers, and the kids looked up to him. He made it fun. They enjoyed it for the entire 6 weeks holidays. They stayed active and they got it for free. Do you know the following year the council cut it? They didn't see any point in it. This is where we are going wrong, because that was fantastic for them. One, it kept the kids out of trouble, right? So if we're talking about a whole different thing, kept the kids out of trouble, they made friends, they stuck together. Two, it kept them active. It meant that their parents were still able to work and whatever. And it also allowed them to blow off that steam, not sit in a dark bedroom, gaming constantly, because that's also another issue. The kids are, and I can see it with my kids as well. They want to be on technology. They're not getting out like they used to be. And then they're snacking and whatever. We need to go back a step. We need to stop trying to find the quick fix and actually put in the work, put in the effort. And I know, because we're going to get backlash for this, Ab, you know that
we are.
Weight loss consultant, you're in the diet industry. We are in the diet industry because we are passionate about ending the diet cycle. Between the two of us, we have lost 10 stone. Yes?
Yeah.
10 stone. And
11.
Maintaining.
Yes, at 10.
Yeah. We have been maintaining without needing to diet. And that is what we pass on to our clients. Now, I know that if I didn't lose my weight, the habits that I had with food would have been passed on to my children because, and I love my mum, and I know she listens to my podcast, that happened. My mum passed it on to me, her mum passed it on to her, and it would have gone down the generations. I educated myself. I took back control, and now my children lead a healthy life. Does that mean they don't eat sugar and they don't eat chocolate and cake and whatever else because that's what next people are going to come at us? Of course they do. But they don't go and hide it. They're not secret eating. They know that actually what comes first is a balanced diet. They understand proteins, fibers, fruit. Scarlett got up as part of Colchester Football Club and stood in front of her class and gave them a healthy eating talk. She did that.
Bless her. Bless
I couldn't have done that. I wouldn't have at her age. But that's about education. And that comes from us as parents. Educate yourself. Stop burying your head in the sand. Take ownership and let's help our future, because that's what they are. They're the next generation and they need our help.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's get the education out there. And that is why we do this podcast, guys. It's not for us to get on our high horse, although we do get on our high horse quite a lot, but it's for us to get the message out, to educate us so you can educate your children. And it's why we're so passionate about what we do, because we've been there, we've had the habits, we've got children. We don't want that passed on. And I certainly do not want to be looking at my children and thinking, you need to lose weight, I need to inject you. Like, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
It just shouldn't even be an option. Like,
no.
GPs, hospitals, health practitioners, I don't care who it is that are coming forward, they shouldn't even be considering this. It shouldn't be. And also, as a parent, it makes you feel like shit, right? I would feel devastated if somebody, because you know it's not going to be said nicely to you. We know what it's like.
Oh, yeah.
We've been there. We know what it feels like to be judged by a GP, a nurse, or whoever. Can you imagine them saying, by the way, we're going to offer your children these injections because you clearly can't look after them? Like, that's how it's going to feel. So let's stop that now. How, just to end this podcast, because obviously the other issue is healthy foods can be really expensive. So then that sometimes does also drive people down into needing to buy lower nutrition foods. So what kind of things can parents implement with their children? Now, not necessarily cooking from scratch, because some people don't like it or can't do it. Like, do you know, and that wasn't a dig at you, but some people don't like cooking, right? And some children don't like eating that food. So things like what I can think of straight away is hiding vegetables in like a bolognese sauce.
Like in a sauce,
blending it right up.
Blending it right up, yeah.
And that can be made in bulk. You can freeze that, and that can be a really good base sauce for pastas, to go on pizza, to make all sorts, like even in your lasagnas and things like that. Looking at your meats. So looking at leaner meat, so chicken, or when you're looking at buying mince, trying to get the leaner mince so that you know what's going in. But things like wonky veg. Have you heard of wonky veg boxes?
Yes, I love looking and getting the wonky veg just because I'm a child and like looking at the shapes that come.
Exactly. But how fun is it for the kids to look at it as well? Like, look at this wonky carrot. Like it's and adults, it depends where your head goes, get out of the gutter. But that can also save money. Also, like knowing whether you can freeze something or not freeze it. Like I love a yellow sticker. Mate, if I'm
A
going into
yellow
the supermarket,
sticker.
yellow sticker, I'm like, I'm there.
Yeah. If you can
And
freeze it, freeze it. Get
exactly
it.
that batch cooking.
Mhm.
Batch cook things that you can freeze as well, because again,
Yeah.
that saves money. If you can cook in bulk, freeze it. And then also looking when you are buying like snacks for the children, what kind of things should parents be looking at so that it's still fun for a child? Like they're still going to want a certain amount of snacks, but there are a lot of snacks out there that are under 100 calories.
Mm-hmm.
Um, obviously trying to get them the fruit and veg as well, but making that fun. If you can cut up, so for me, it's a ball ache, but my kids much prefer an apple sliced up than they would biting into
I I am the same. I can't eat an apple with my teeth. I don't like the texture, and I cut up an apple. And now my kids are the same. Cut my apple up, and I'm like, oh, for God's sake! But
it
it
makes them
gets
eat it. Yeah.
it gets it in them. And also when they obviously Olivia's just started school, but like when they are about 2, 3, I've got these little like puncher things that make funny shapes,
Yeah.
and I would like punch just to make out and like make like little scenes on their plate, and it's like fun and exciting for them. But also one thing is like if you are buying fresh food, because I know a lot of people do begrudge buying, like if you're talking about fruit, like let's face it, you'll put something in the fruit bowl and then it goes brown,
Moldy.
yellow.
Yeah.
Making smoothies and freezing,
Yeah.
making smoothies are such a good way. Kids love an iced drink. It doesn't matter what is in that drink. They love like an iced, slushy, thick thing. But if you can get that moldy, well, it's not, don't moldy, but that turning fruit in it, you're onto a winner, because you're getting that into your children. They don't really know what they're drinking or eating, but it's getting it into them.
Yeah. And even like getting the kids involved in cooking as well. So educating them to be able to cook. Like my kids love cooking because I've involved them from such a young age that they just enjoy it and they ask questions. We talk about their day at school. It's just fun. Make food fun. It's not bad. It's not good. It's not a treat. It's not a chore. Like even with vegetables, like so many people turn their nose up with vegetables. So find other ways of introducing veg into their food, but tell them you don't have to hide it. It doesn't have to be a dirty thing. Like say, I've blended it up, but you can't taste it, can you? Like explaining to them that there are other ways of being healthy, and getting out. Going out on a scavenger hunt. We did this with our clients this week.
Oh, so fun.
So fun. Going out on a scavenger hunt and just picking a letter for the day. So we picked B, and we got all of our clients to go out in their lunch break or at a certain time in the day, and they had to find 3 things beginning with the word B, at the letter B. We got all sorts. I got buzzards and bins and bloody rain.
Sky and black sky.
Yeah,
because the weather was so different.
Exactly, and that's adults. Adults enjoyed it, so kids are going to love it. Put their wellies on, go out there and get them moving, not just for their physical health, but to clear their head. And it's fun, and it's showing them that they don't have to run a mile every day. They just need to get moving, and it's free.
And it's free. It's free to get outdoors. Doesn't matter where you live. You know, you can get outside and do something in the outdoors to clear, like you say, blow off some steam, and for their mental health. There is nothing worse than a child being sat in its bedroom. They become like caged animals.
Yeah.
And we don't like caged animals.
And there's also nothing wrong with having technology, but let's find the balance, which I understand is hard. But let's help our children before the NHS completely go mad and start injecting everyone just for the sake of it, because their BMI is like 0.1 over where it should be. And my last thing, 2, one I'm going to leave for you to carry on with though. Okay. Portion control. Our portions have got out of control. Now, I hear it from my clients all the time, and I know you do too, and we had it, that you can't get down from the table until you finish your plate. Now, this stems from very, very long time ago when we were on rations, okay? And it was true. Money was very hard done. Like, we couldn't get hold of it. When you did have it, you needed to appreciate it. And I appreciate that time. I wasn't in that time, obviously, but I appreciate where it come from. We are not in that era anymore. So that therefore needs to be left there. We are not there anymore. So therefore, one, we need to reduce our plates, and that goes for the kids as well. And we also need to educate ourselves with what their size amount of pasta looks like. What does it look like for them to have spaghetti or rice? Because how many of you, me included,
You can cook enough rice for China.
I could feed the whole street. You've got to start getting your head around it so that when they say to you, Mum, Dad, I'm full, you've got to start trusting that. And like Abby touched on place with Lenny, it's a case of when they say they're full up and they don't want to eat any more dinner, don't necessarily go and scrape it off. Go and put it in the microwave. And then when they come back to you in an hour's time, and they say to you, Mum, Dad, I'm hungry. Okay, well, your dinner's in the microwave. Because if they don't want to finish their dinner,
they're not hungry.
Not that they're hungry, they fancy something or they're craving something that's low nutrition. And they've got to understand that actually, no, balanced diet comes first. Then, but if we turn around and say, no, you can't leave the table until you've had that, and then you can have dessert, they're going to eat it for the sake of it. And I was taught that because my mum was taught that, but I've stopped that with my kids now.
Yeah, I have as well. Absolutely. Because it creates such a poor relationship with food. And then they inhale the food. Like if you say that they've got ice cream, for example, there's ice cream in the freezer, but you've got to eat all your dinner. They will inhale that. They won't taste it. They won't appreciate it. They're going to make themselves feel absolute like shit. Just to eat a bit of ice cream, it's not worth it. Yeah. Not worth it.
And the thing that I was going to pass to you is, which even though I'm not a natural drinker and I have to remind myself, I am shit hot with it. You'll be pleased to know.
Oh, what's that?
This is a 2-litre bottle, thank you very much. Okay. And I'm down to 500 ml.
Okay, well done you. Right. Well done you. I've drunk a litre during this podcast, so yeah.
Sure. I am shit hot on that with my kids. Not many parents encourage their children to drink water. So what is, as the last kind of roundup, how does children drinking water benefit them?
Well, are we sitting comfortably? The same as it does for adults. It keeps everything going. I don't know about you, but if I didn't not force Lenny, that sounds like I sit on him and put pipe down his throat. Encourage him to drink. He wouldn't wee all day. Like there's some days and I'm like, hang on a minute, you've not drunk, you've not weed. Like that is not healthy for a child of his age. So it keeps everything going. It also helps them with understanding their body's cues when they are eating, if they are drinking water. Lenny used to suffer with headaches when I was at my heaviest and my relationship with food was bad and everything, and I didn't really care about anything. He used to say he had a headache and stuff because he was dehydrated, because I wasn't encouraging him to drink water. He is now, because he does so much training and he needs to drink water, because there was a time when he was on the mats and he wasn't drinking when he was on the mats. He would rather, because we can watch them on the cameras. You can't like go in, but you can watch them. And he would go and he would pretend to be drinking his drink, like. And I was like, because he was like this, like, and I'm like, I can see you, mate. I got him an air up because he doesn't want to drink just plain water. Yeah. And yes, he could have juice. That's absolutely fine, sugar-free, squash. But when he's training or whatever, he needs to be having water. He needs to be hydrating himself. I got him an air up. That is like the best thing. And I know that an air up isn't within everybody's budget, but it's like the best thing for him because he thinks that he's drinking watermelon flavour or whatever's on it.
There are lots of dupes, by the way, that are more affordable as well. So
yes. But that is something that I took upon myself to get him, because I thought he does need to drink more water. Yeah. But because Olivia is a killer for water, like so much so that we had that type 1 diabetes scare because she decided to drink a litre in like 5 minutes. She has picked up habitual drinking from me because I've always got my water with me. I'm always drinking water. So therefore, she is always drinking water as well. She does have juice as well. But 9 times out of 10, I'll be drinking my water. Mummy can have some water.
Can we just pause there? Isn't that the point of what we're trying to say? Olivia has really only known you as a healthy mummy. Really,
Yes.
when you started your journey, she was very, very tiny.
Yeah.
So she has only ever seen you as a healthy mummy with a positive relationship with food and clearly water.
Yeah.
And therefore she picks up on that.
Yeah.
This is our point. You've just clearly said it, that she is impressionable. Children watch us. We are their role models. And if we can do that, we won't need these poxy injections.
No, we bloody well won't need these poxy injections, because the next minute the NHS will be saying it's on its arse, but yet they're pumping, God knows, let's face it, to manufacture this drug, the drug companies are coining it. They will be coining it. It's going to cost money. And then what worries me is we're taking money out of health service, whatever, to manufacture said drug to inject our children. There's going to be children out there and adults and elderly and whatever who need life-saving medication. They need whatever, and they can't get hold of it because the health service is on its ass.
Yeah.
Work that one out.
It's scary. And like I said right at the beginning, this hasn't been around, and not that I want it to be tested, because I just don't.
No.
But we don't know the long-term effect that this will have on our children. How would you feel as a parent that has been coerced into this, that has been encouraged into this, and you've been injecting your children because that's what you've been told is the best option for them, and then when they get into their 20s or whenever, they decide that they want to have babies and they can't? And then they do more evidence-based research, and they realize that actually it was the injection that didn't actually work, because now they're still obese anyway with complications, and now they're infertile because you've injected them. Now, this is an opinion that isn't factual because the facts aren't there. I just need to point that out. But let's play a devil's advocate here. What if that happens? So instead, let's try to stop doing this whole quick fix thing. Let's educate. Let's get people on board. Share this podcast out there if you agree with it. Start talking about it and show society that actually this is not okay, and let's come together and start healthy eating and start advocating for healthy eating, for a positive relationship with food. Get marketers to be accountable. Stop putting Christmas chocolate out on the shelf in September and Easter eggs out on the shelf in January. It's got to stop. The marketing to say that you can't enjoy Christmas unless you have a feast. Stop. That is what makes people feel like that they should be doing it, when actually we don't need to be doing it. We can still enjoy all of these things without making ourselves larger and larger and putting that pressure on our organs, which then passes on to our children, and then we go down the route of injections. Let's just stop. Thank you for listening. If you loved it, don't forget to press that subscribe button and the little bell so that you never miss a future episode. We will be back here with a new one on Sunday at 7 a.m. We'll see you there.